In today's video, we're going to be looking at some improvements to our game and making the mechanic to be able to build. And we'll see if we can do the destroy thing too. But first of all, let's go ahead and run the program and see what we've got until now. So we've got a terrain with our own textures. We've got it random and it's generating each time we move, just like that. And we got a little zombie right there, which we will definitely improve later on, hopefully. So with that said, let's start off by making a huge boost to our world by making the seed random. Just like Minecraft, we've got a random seed. We're gonna go ahead and do this. So import random, or we can do this because sometimes import random doesn't work for me. Let's do from random import. You can import rand range or just X. Okay, so next we're gonna go to our seeds, and you can actually use the rand range function in order to make a random seed. So start by 1, and then as make the number as high as you can, because the higher the number, the more the possibilities, you can say. If I run the program right now, as you can see, first we have this flat hill right there, and if I run it again, as you can see, we have a totally different seed. We have another flat hill, but different shape, as you can see. So our random seed mechanic is working. Now, again, if you don't want to import everything from random, you can just say rand range, but I want to import. So let's start by setting up for the building. So first of all, I just did that one mistake. We'll do layer cursor.visible is false. So the cursor, this pink cursor that you've been seeing all the time, won't be there anymore. And then we're gonna say window.exit underscore button dot visible equals, and what basically these two functions do is oops. Okay, yeah, so make sure you do it after you define the player. Yeah, so that's because the program reads from top to bottom. So yeah, we'll do it over here. And now, as you can see, the cursor is gone, and I can just get my mouse out. Yeah, there we go. Uh, we have the exit button over here. Like it's not there anymore, as you can see. So that's good. We've got it working. And another thing that I want to do just for debugging is I want to remove the zombie because I don't want to keep going into the zombie we each time we spawn in the world or go in the world. Yeah, that's better. And because we're gonna be testing building and stuff like that, I don't want to keep jumping. So we'll set the amplitude to 0. So we have a completely flat one. Now don't try to set the frequency to 0 because it will not run the program. It can't do the calculations for the Perlin noise. Maybe you can just disable the Perlin noise for now, but the easiest way is just to the amplitude lower. So we got a flat world with the generation working. That's good. So I'll go ahead and expand the terrain a little bit like this, and then I'll go ahead and let's go ahead and actually get started with the building. So first of all, you want to go ahead and uh, need some files or folders. So in the textures folder, so again, assets, I have a build folder that I've created, textures, and then I have my textures and models right there. Now, if you're using the same application or like the website called Blockbench, Then you can use like a brick texture and the grass texture for one model, or like the grass texture, because they're all the same models, which is what I'm gonna do because I've seen some issues when I try to use the sand model. So, first of all, you want to go ahead and go to a website like pixel art and just draw a little border with whatever color you want and download that. Now, why? Because this is gonna be our cursor that we're gonna build on, like the cube, I guess, if you were to say. And then save it in whatever folder you want. So and call it something that you can remember because you want to load in the texture. You want to remember it. Frame. We're good. So now we're gonna go ahead and go step by step with this. So step one, we need to go ahead and load up the frame texture, and it's gonna be uh, frame like this. And you actually don't need the load texture or the load model right now if you're using Ursina version 2.6, I think. Good. So now all we need to do is create the entity. Create entity. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll call it frame, and on the top right there, there we go. Actually, standing for texture. So frame equals entity, and inside here we're gonna say model equals cube because this website actually just uses a 3D texture that's gonna be applied on every single side, just like we said on I think tutorial 2, the basic texturing. And then we're gonna say texture equals frame text, else like this. And running the program currently. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, we've got our cube right there. Let me just go ahead and make it a little bit higher so that we see it. There we go. Now make sure it's a PNG image, or otherwise you won't have this transparency that I'm having right there. If it's a JPG, it's just gonna be white instead of transparent. Now, by default, this website is gonna download it as a PNG. Okay, so now that we've got that, we need to set the position of it. So let me just remove the Y, and we need to put this in the update function right here, because for the position, for the position, we wanted to update the position to the player, but we don't want to update the entity because we're going to create multiple entities then, which is going to be really bad. So we're going to start off by saying frame position equals. We're going to floor that as we don't want to build inside of, or like in between of two cubes. That would be bad. So floor, and then I think it was player dot x, or sorry, no, I put dot position. I'll explain everything in a second. Plus camera dot forward times, and you can multiply by 3. And then we're gonna say frame dot y equals dot y plus. Okay, so what this program is basically doing is it's taking the position of the frame and it's flooring it to be the position of the player and facing wherever the player is facing forward. So it won't be going backward. It's going to be always in front of the player. And then we multiply by 3 so that it's maybe 3 blocks, if you were to say, in front of the player. And then over here is just a little bug that I found, is that like the Y position is going to be low. And so I just made it higher by 2. And I found the program currently, as you can see, we have our new cursor. We can move it all around like this. And this basically defines the distance that cursor is from the player. So if you set it to 5, and I'll run the program, As you can see, it's a little bit further. So you really can't count how many blocks it's for, because like you really can't see it if you go down. But you can just currently disable the wall. Okay, yeah. So we've got our cursor working. For now, I might leave it as 4. We might have something like maybe if I do the scroll wheel, front or backward, then the distance is gonna change depending on the scroll wheel. But we're gonna do that later. So we've done step 1, which is making the cursor. Step 2 is actually building. So we're gonna start by small if statement. If equals right mouse up. Now, what's the difference between right mouse up, right mouse down? Right mouse down, if you get your mouse down, or like you click it, but then don't unclick it, then it's gonna be built. But if you click it and then unclick, then it's gonna happen. If it's up, I want it to be up. You can select down. Okay. So what you want to do is do no. You want to create a new variable. That's just a temporary variable called the variable. Sorry. E equals, and then we're gonna have it to be duplicate. We're gonna duplicate the frame, so our entity that we just created. And then we're gonna set the properties. So e dot model. You know what? We'll set the model later on, and we'll say e dot. We'll also set the texture later. So I think we're all done. It's just the collider. So let's do the collider right now. E dot collider equals, and we're gonna make it match. Let's see if this is working. So we right click, and yep, it's duplicating the frame. It's not a total new entity, but it's I think it's like just duplicating the frame, and then we could set its own properties just like a new entity. So as you can see, we have a collider on this one, but we don't have on the cursor. I really can't show you right now, but yeah, it's just the E is basically a duplicate of the frame. Yeah, so this is how you do it. Step 2 is easy, just duplicate the frame and then give it collider. Now let's do a bit more properties. So E dot model equals, we're gonna set it to the grass model that we've got. And then we're gonna set the texture. How do you do that? Well, I'm gonna use a simple way. You might think it's hard, but no. So we're gonna just store everything in a class. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with object-oriented programming. I'm just using a class to store things. So class. Oh yeah. Oh, oops. It's confusing. Okay. So class B type, which stands for block type. And in here, we're gonna load every single texture. So we're gonna go ahead and take this. We're gonna copy that. We might leave it up there, okay, because it's for the generation with rain. And we're gonna place that. And then we're gonna assign it to a variable. We're gonna call it same thing, but capitalization. So like this equals, and then we're gonna assign it to the class, and then so what it's basically doing here is, let's go ahead and just say class property, okay? What it's doing right here is that it's taking the variables is looking. So it's we told it to look for the class called by type or block type. It finds it, and then it looks into this class and finds the grass variable, and then it takes it. So it's basically we're saying B type equals grass over here, if you will. But because we don't have it global, I think, so we just need to do this because we're storing it in the class. So let's go ahead and test it out real quick. So we're gonna say e dot texture equals, and then we're gonna say like just like that, because we want the texture to always be equal to this variable. And now let's test out. It should be building grass blocks, which it is. solid success right there. As you can see, we have grass blocks, we have a collider, the model is working correctly, and everything is working correctly. That's good. Now what we need to do is we need to implement our other textures, so the brick, the log, and the sound. Let's start by actually implementing the brick texture. So all you have to do to implement a new block into your game is pull out a variable, call it whatever you want, name of the block maybe, equals, and then make it load that texture. Let me see. I think it was brick. That's it, right? Yeah, brick.png, and there you go. You have a new block. Uh, Almost, not really. So, in order to be able to switch between blocks, you want to set a key to switch maybe to brick or sand or something like that. I'll set the brick to 1. So if you press 1 and switch to brick, and then all you have to do is you want to take that variable and assign it to look into this class, and then switch a new variable, the brick, and that's it. As long as this is always following the texture of the byte type, if we change it, it's changed. So now if we run the program, let's see, we can, oops, okay, local. Okay, yeah, so over here, we have a little bit of an issue. Yeah, so I think we just need to try and make it global. Oops. What's wrong with the sound today? Okay, global, and then, oops, nope, the class, the actual variable. Let's see if this makes things work. Oops. And there we go. And yeah, okay, it's working. Now if we press 1, there you go, our brick texture is working. So as you can see, we still have a collider because we haven't changed the collider. We have the same model, we're just changing the texture according to the block type, and we changed the block type where we press the key 1, and so there you have it. You have a new block. Now let's go ahead and paste that over here. I want to make it 0, and this is basically going to be a way to switch back to grass. Let's see if this is working. So we should start off with grass. Yes, okay. And then if we press 1, we have the brick texture, and then 0. There you go. We have the grass back. Now all you have to do is basically implement the other textures. Sand equals sand.png, and then log equals log.png. Hopefully I've done the names right. So now all you have to do is go ahead and paste each one of them like this. Assign a different key and a different texture. So maybe I'll make the log the 3 and the sand the 2, and let's go ahead and test it out. Okay, so we should start off by grass. Press 1, we have bricks. Press 2, we have sand, it's working. Press 3, and we have the log. I know it's not the best texture in the world. I might try and modify that texture. But there you have it. You have basic building into the game right now. And as you can see, all of them has the same properties, the collider, the model, everything. Okay, so building is out of the way. Now, I would like to do building in this tutorial, but the problem is that until now, I'm facing a little bit of bugs when I try to build, I try to destroy. So, for example, let me just demonstrate it real quick. Uh, First of all, the first bug I have is that when I destroy where there's no block, it just gives me an error. Second of all, if I build like 3 blocks, it just destroys the first one if I left click, but then it doesn't do for these 2. So I might do building later on the series. But we're gonna see. So now that we have everything done, we could go ahead and get back to zombie, and we can go ahead and get the amplitude up again. And we should have our nice world again, just like this, with our friend zombie. And with our new building mechanic. I know it's not the best building mechanic, but at least it's something. Yeah, at least it's like a basic building, I guess. Okay, so there you have it. That's building. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next